This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazoff.com, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Good evening. Welcome to the Glazoff Gang. Tonight, 11 crazy Islamic fatwas. With us this evening, Nani Darwish, the author of Wholly Different: Why I Chose Biblical Values Over Islamic Values. Nani, what an honor and privilege to have you back on the Glazoff Gang.
My pleasure, Jamie, always.
I was reading your book again carefully the other night. What a powerful book, Nani. Everybody that's watching right now, you've got to get Wholly Different by Nani Darwish. Just before we begin, just a marvelous, just incredible achievement and such a profound contribution, Nani. Thank you for writing it.
Oh, thank you, Jamie.
So Nani, I was just amazed reading, your comparisons of biblical values with Islamic values, and you had a section in there where, I know about these things, but the way you crystallized these fatwas, and just one section in there of just these crazy ones that I really wanted to bring to the public and to discuss them, because not only are they crazy, but there's something to be said about the silence surrounding them. So let us begin, but before we do, tell us about the Arabic word fatwa.
Fatwa is a religious ruling by a sheikh who knows a lot about Sharia law. And I have a chapter on mental health under Islam and Islamic values and biblical values, and I compared this. And towards the end, I mentioned a few crazy fatwas, really, that are, I mentioned 11, but there are many, many of them, Jamie.
Okay. But Nani, sorry to interrupt. I just want to say, because we want to stress here that this isn't just some crazy guy in a bar. This is a recognized Islamic authority that is issuing this religious ruling. So these are serious people with authority, with respect, and they're giving these religious rulings.
Well, what more than the Grand Mufti Sheikh of Saudi Arabia? He gave fatwa. Another one was given by the Dean of Al-Azhar University. And these are the top leadership of Islam. And I specifically chose ones that were by very well-respected people.
Right. So Nani, let's get to them. And I think you also made a very important point that because of modern technology, Islam can no longer conceal this information in terms of all these embarrassing and outrageous rulings and fatwas. And they just can't keep hiding all this stuff. And we know that the media, the establishment media, tries to cover for them. Rachel Maddow, Don Lemon, Anderson Cooper, and all those that serve the establishment media, and the Muslim Brotherhood and Islamic supremacism. We know that they've got this alliance going where they will never discuss these things, but we will. Okay?
We have to, because they're in their books, and their books are now online. Their fatwas, which used to be done in hidden mosques somewhere, now are on TV, on national TV, so they cannot hide it anymore.
Right. Okay, so Nani, and ladies and gentlemen that are watching, we're going to do the top 11 crazy fatwas. We're going to start with the 11th and go down to number 1 as I ordered them. The craziest down to number 1, but just selecting from Nani's list. But we just want to make a warning. If you've got, even though this is a religion, if you have children watching, you might want to maybe get them to leave the room, because as we start getting to 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, even though this is a religion, it's always talking about very, very strange things, as you will see. Let us begin with number 11, vaccines and sterility. Nani, it appears that a fatwa was issued forbidding Pakistani children from getting immunizations because
Pakistani children are not supposed to be immunized, and this is a fatwa. issued by a religious authority, and the fatwa stated that these vaccines are a Western conspiracy to make Muslims sterile.
Okay, now what I would ask here before we move forward, is there a problem with sterility? Because they obviously need to blame something for sterility, so is there a problem in this area?
A lot of the Western anti-Jewish conspiracies, especially with Viagra, I read it in even Egyptian newspapers. They say, oh, if you take all these medications from the West, from Israel, this is a conspiracy to sterilize Muslim men.
I see. Okay, let us move over to number 10. The ban on tomboys. A Malaysian fatwa banned girls from acting like tomboys as violating Islamic tenets, and there was something to do with a tennis player. You want to talk about this, Nani?
Exactly. There is a Muslim tennis player. Her name is Sania Mirza, and there was a fatwa issued specifically for her because of her wearing tennis player clothes, and that she should not wear such clothes while during games, because this is corrupting Muslim youth.
Right, but Nani, it's kind of, isn't there a bit of a gray area here somewhere? Because there's a fatwa against girls acting like tomboys, but how, where does it begin and end? Like, anybody can make the accusation, like what? It's just a bit crazy because it can be very arbitrary how a girl acts.
Well, they really consider sports in general a boy thing. And when a girl does it, it is so they want to cover her completely. And by covering, that stops her ability from performing properly. Right. So they call her a tomboy, and you're not supposed to be a tomboy. So really, these fatwas are preventing girls from acting like boys, being in sports, right. Wearing clothes during the game that will corrupt the Muslim boys who will watch them.
Nani, we know a lot of these leftists in the West that are so upset about just the social construction of gender, that gender is fluid, and who's anybody to say what's masculine and feminine? Where are their protests against this fatwa?
Well, there are no protests. I don't see Linda Sarsour protesting against crippling women while they're playing a game.
Right. Nani, let's move over to the 9th fatwa. This one is very important. I can see they're really sitting around and how they had to devise this one. Men must cover their thighs.
Yes. Actually, if you go to the Middle East, you will never see a man wearing a short. It's not Islamic. Men always wear long pants. So clothes, even for men, are dictated by Muhammad. Muhammad wore a kind of a gala, the Saudi kind of clothes, but it stops at the ankle or a little bit above the ankle. Right. But you cannot show your thighs.
Oh, you can't show the thighs.
Women might be tempted.
Right. Okay, let's move over to fatwa number 8. I think this one is much more important than number 9. Women cannot watch soccer.
Absolutely. And actually, this was a lot of talk was about that in Saudi Arabia. When women go and watch games, they started telling that a fatwa was actually issued to prohibit women from watching soccer and football games. And the reason is supposedly because women really don't like to watch games, but they go only to watch men's thighs.
Right. And Nani, have you ever been to a soccer game, or this is too personal of a question?
Of course, it was all to watch the thighs of men.
Okay, let's move over to fatwa number 7, the flat earth. In 2000, that's the year 2000, fatwa entitled The Transmitted and Sensory Proofs of the Rotation of the Sun and Stillness of the Earth. Saudi Arabian Grand Mufti told us something about the flat earth, right, Nani?
That's a beauty. And that comes from the Grand Mufti of Saudi Arabia. That is the most, supposedly the most learned sheikh in Saudi Arabia. Ibn Baz, his name, and asserted that the earth was flat and disc-like, which means it was round but flat, and that the sun actually revolves around Earth and not vice versa. It's not the Earth that's going around the sun. And this was a ruling. It actually became a law. And it defies logic. It defies education. It defies debate. You cannot debate anymore.
Thank you, thank you. Let's keep going down the list, and I just warn our viewers it's going to get weirder and weirder. Number 6, Nani, we know that in Islamic theology that there is a section in the text where it says that Satan spoke through the mouth of Muhammad. And many Muslims are very embarrassed about this section in their theology. But this is where the satanic verses comes from in the publication of Rushdie's novel and everything that happened. Tell us about this fatwa.
Well, this came from Ayatollah Khomeini, again, a top religious authority and a head of state. And he issued a fatwa of death against Salman Rushdie for saying a fact that actually exists in Islamic books, which claims that Muhammad said some verses in the Quran and then retracted them because it was claimed that, it was inspired by, these were satanic, not real Quranic verses. So by Salman Rushdie, by stating some facts in the Islamic jurisprudence and Islamic books, he should not even state facts, because if the facts are embarrassing, then you have committed a crime against Islam for which he has to be killed.
And they're only, and Rushdie's only obviously writing about something that's in Islamic texts itself.
So another example, if you criticize Muhammad for marrying a 6-year-old girl, which is a fact in Islamic books, and if you say it in a critical way, you've committed blasphemy. And blasphemy is, the punishment for blasphemy is death. So a fatwa will be issued against anybody who criticizes Muhammad for marrying an underage child.
Well, Nani, just a minute. Sahih Bukhari, in that hadith, he documented all this. And come on now, Muhammad consummated the marriage when Aisha was 9.
Yes, but if you say it in a derogatory way, if you say it in a way that is ethical, it doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong.
Absolutely, Nani. No, I'm just saying that they often, the marriage was at 6, and then they think it's okay that the consummation happened at 9. I get it. Thank you so much, Nani. Absolutely. Let's move over to number 5. You know what? And I can understand in some ways why, because this is a huge threat to society. Number 5, a fatwa against having sex when you're naked.
This fatwa was issued by the dean of Al-Azhar University. And he issued this fatwa saying that a marriage would be considered void if a couple had sex in a naked state. So to have sex while you're naked under Islam will void your marriage. It's prohibited.
Okay, just a second. So what should you be wearing? Okay, so you need to be wearing You need to be fully clothed?
We'll continue with you wearing your galabeya, which is, that's what he thinks. You have to continue wear your clothes and do it with clothes on.
You got it. Okay. We could maybe get into the problematic nature of that, but I think we'll leave that for another show.
Yeah.
Nani Darwish, let's go to number 4, a fatwa about lusting for your daughter.
Yeah, this is a horrendous fatwa, and actually I've heard it many times. It's not just this was the Turkey's top religious authority. He's called the Diyanet, and he issued a fatwa, and it was in response to somebody asking about it specifically, if it's religiously okay to lust after your daughter, a man, a father lusting after his daughter. And the answer said that there is a difference of opinion here, and they kind of play around the issue a little bit. They say, oh, it's not good, but some people say this or some people say that. But for some, a father's kissing his daughter with lust or caressing her with desire has no effect on the man's marriage. So they are trying to comfort the wife that it's okay. You're still okay with your marriage. It's not done void. And I have seen several of these fatwas online. You go, and the mother, if the father loves over his daughter, the mother will still be the wife. Will not, the marriage should not be voided.
Right. Thank you, Nani. We're running out of time, so we got to speed through these last 3. But just want to comment that as a Christian, and you're a Christian, Nani, and when we read, you know, the Gospels and John and Matthew and Mark and the Corinthians, I mean, every time I'm reading Islamic theology, there's really weird stuff going on there. You never find this in the Christian teachings.
I showed in the chapter about sin.
Right.
One fatwa, I mentioned another fatwa to confirm this one, in which a sheikh told the woman, don't tell anybody if you catch your husband touching your daughter, don't tell anybody, and you are still his wife, and you're not forbidden from having sex with him. And he actually told her, don't tell anybody, but don't leave him alone with the daughter.
Right, Nani, I apologize. We're running out of time, so we got to go through these last 3 very quickly, okay? And perhaps we'll do a follow-up more in depth. Number 3, there's a fatwa about being raped by your father-in-law.
Yes. If men have it all. I mean, if the father-in-law rapes the wife of his son, then the father-in-law wins. The father wins over the son. Then the son automatically becomes the son-in-law of the wife.
Right, and the fatwa said that the husband had now become her son. Right, this is very interesting. Fatwa number 2, breastfeeding your coworker if there's too much stress in the office.
Oh yeah, this one came out of Egypt, and actually Aisha, who is one of the wives of Muhammad, was encouraging women, if they are left alone with a man, to stop the temptation. So they breastfeed the man in order for them to become like a son, and this was brought a lot of outrage in Egypt. And actually, the sheikh who said it had to retract because of the outrage. But he still insists this isn't the Sharia.
Right, and this is also connected to a solution for sexual tensions in the office. But yeah, but I'm just thinking that, you know, just thinking about just in the West, you know, the boss calls in, you know, Cynthia and David, and he's like, you know, there's a lot of tension in this office, and I've come up with the solution.
Exactly.
It's so absurd for us, but these are actual
But they are really dead serious. Those sheikhs are dead serious about it, because how can they avoid it? It's in the Islamic books. It's all over the Islamic books. They can't hide it.
breastfeeding in the office to lower the tension in the workplace. We can do a whole show on this one. We've got to go quickly. We're down to number one. The number one crazy fatwa. And Nani, it's all about drinking the urine of Muhammad.
Absolutely. And that's another top sheikh of Al-Azhar. And he said that drinking the urine of Muhammad is a blessing and a cure. And, and camel urine is advocated as a cure because Muhammad recommended it.
Right, but Nani, how do you drink the urine of Muhammad today exactly?
You can't, because he died, but he was advocating that those who drank the urine of Muhammad, and by the way, Muhammad used to give his sweat and his urine to people to be blessed. So he did that.
Right.
So Nani, they have to confirm it now.
Nani, you know what's so interesting before we go? Is all these comedians in our culture think they're so funny, and they make fun of Catholic priests and of the church and of Christians and of Mormons and of Jehovah's Witnesses and of rabbis. We don't hear a peep about any of this. And I think that there's a lot of material here for a lot of comedy, a lot of satire, and all these brave comedians are completely, deafeningly silent. Very quickly, why don't you finish on this in terms of the silence and cowardice when it comes to these crazy Islamic fatwas?
I think Islam has such crazy fatwas, and they are not just 11, Jamie. They are in the hundreds, and they are being said today. They are being told to Muslims on the Arab street today to follow today, and everybody doesn't want to talk about it. They are being advocated on Arab TV today, and these fatwas are making people prone to superstition, to omens, to rejecting logic and reason. They are you know, hurting the mental health of Muslim people.
Nani Darwish, we are out of time. I apologize. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us today to discuss the 11 crazy Islamic fatwas.
Thank you, Jamie, and thank you for bringing them out in your show.
Thank you so much. And thank you for watching the Glazov Gang this evening. Make sure you get Nani Darwish's book, Wholly Different, a masterpiece, must viewing. We'll see you soon on the Glazov Gang. Good night.